Hey guys, welcome to my talk show podcast. You are live with T. What was I gonna say? I finally got a minute to basically come back on with a reading, and I'm excited to do so. I've been called to do so, thank you God. Also, what I wanted to start out with was I felt like it was really important to talk about 3 things that I was highly grateful for today. First of all, I'm very grateful for a roof over my head. That's numero uno. Second of all, I'm very grateful to be authentic to myself and to be the resistance to other people who don't accept that within me, right? So to be the kind of little bit of a rebel. Ooh, I revel in my rebel. And actually I'm looking at it right now. Thank you God. There's so many things to be grateful for, but thank you God for the ability to sing, because that is such a stress reliever in my world that I'm looking at my quote-unquote fun like microphone. And so with that being said, I'm also very grateful to be part of the mediumship skill set, okay, which actually we're going to get right into. I have the Talking to Heaven mediumship card deck by Jane Von Prague in my hands. So basically, this is gonna be a reading from 3 p.m. tomorrow, which is Monday, my feng shui themed day, my personally feng shui themed day. It's not like a thing. That I have labeled knowledge, spirituality, and self-love, okay? Into Tuesday morning up until 3 p.m., which is, if I'm not mistaken, it's basically family, but with that, it's friend fam, it's angels and ancestors, and also the past, right? So it's very interesting. We're about to go into, I know we're in Mercury retrograde shadow period. That's what I overheard somebody say. I didn't look into it, so I still have to do that type of research in terms of when it is and kind of be on the ball with that. But basically, a little bit more leisure-like, and just letting the reins go and giving it to the God. You know what I'm saying? And by that I mean we're gonna slow down, and things are kind of gonna, and we're gonna slow down. And I urge people to take a vacation during a retrograde all the time. If you can plan ahead for that, that'd be great. Just because you don't want to you rather just stay away from, like, quote unquote, the office, you know what I'm saying, and just enjoy your time. I know it's not a time to, like, really quote unquote travel, but because things might be delayed, this and that, or you might not get to certain things, or that type of jam. But if you do a staycation, bro, staycations are the best. And if you want to prepare for that, I'm also going to be available, I'm available now to schedule your feng shui, your feng shui organization within your home, to make it prepare and make it kind of beautifully and aesthetically pleasing, so that you can have way more of a better staycation, right? A lot of people, very interesting, we don't realize that how much energy we exude on a day-to-day basis, and how much actually energy, time, and money it also takes to travel, when really you're paying for your rent anyway, or you're paying for your mortgage anyway, or you have your house that's already paid off anyway. So you might as well just really kind of not hunker down, but more so enjoy your life from your home a little bit, you know what I'm saying? Which I think a lot of people kind of tend to avoid, because it's kind of, it's work to kind of upkeep and da-da-da-da, but At the same time, if you get your house feng shuied, especially by me, you're going to enjoy your leisure, okay? You are going to enjoy that shit. And it's going to be to the maximum capacity. And of course, like, you know, and here's the thing, this is actually so super beautiful. It just hit me. What would be a really good idea is that you take a vacation that doesn't even have to be that far, but just kind of like an Airbnb, like nearby, while I work on the feng shui within your home. And then you come back like post retrograde or whatever have you, right? Because feng shui, physically it takes a little bit of time. Everybody is a little bit different in terms of, you know, it's kind of customizable. So that would be a really excellent idea for you to do, so that you don't have to really work on your vacation. You can enjoy your vacation, but also, you know, easily get back to, you know, real life or true life when it comes down to it after you vacation to a really beautiful, inviting and enjoyable home that, like, you literally can just come home after every day of work and just chill to the maximum capacity. You know what I'm saying? Obviously, always still, you know, being grateful for the fact that you get to maintain your space that takes care of you as well. But yeah, I mean, it's just gonna be way more fabulous than how it first started out to be. Excuse me. So yeah, so basically that's just an idea, a suggestion for you guys to kind of keep in mind. And so I think we're now going to get into it. I feel like that this reading might be for the masculines for some reason, because I'm seeing the he in heaven. So if that's legit, then God bless, you know what I'm saying? If that's the case, God bless. Okay. Wow. Talk about masculines. I think I got a sign that it is definitely the truth. Because one of these cards, and I'm going to tell you why, because Spirit's telling me it. So the confirmation that I got, one of these cards reminds me of my father. So, and that's kind of interior, that's like on the interior. So this could be a father-like healing. This could be to look at your father in a different perspective. This could be, you know, basically something to translate to your father, you know, like in terms of, not translate, but like more so share on with your dad, right? Like the wisdom that comes out of this reading. So just definitely, you know, take it in the highest and best way possible. So the first card that we have, which is going to be on Monday after 3 p.m., for your knowledge, spirituality, and self-love, it says, don't be afraid. Now, I'm sensing that there's somebody afraid of, like, falling in love, and it's very interesting because I was watching something today that, where a masculine actually he had said on a podcast that he was so super afraid of love, right? And or to do it again, or he just like basically he was willing to just shut down and like not ever be in love again, or not ever feel the love again. But what came out of him was he was just afraid, and that's basically what it is. It's like you do shut down when there is fear or some type of despair, and or I'm gonna say like reignited, not in a good way, but reignited or like a reminder, like a reignited reminder within yourself that is just a little scary to kind of accept. That's what I'm gonna say. Accept for yourself. But you know, it's so beautiful. The next card Okay, spirit's not, okay, so whatever. So, but however, in this podcast, I'm going to just like relay, obviously, the messages that came through. Because everything happens for a reason, where you watch things for a reason and things like that. So that has a whatever, it's a part of this reading. But the podcast, whoever that person had on, and the only reason why I'm not mentioning it right now, because it kicks me out of channeling. So, but I do believe, like, that credit is always due where it is due. You know what I'm saying? Or credit should always be given where it is due. But so that's why I'm going to keep it general. So this person that, and just to get into it. So this person that had expressed his fear about, falling in love was, had a person on his podcast that basically was explaining that, love is I love how he put it. I'm going to go a little bit further into it, but further back, from where I wanted to start, but this guy that he had on his podcast said that love is it's like a little flame, right? That you would put in one of those little decorative, house-looking lanterns, And so he said it's sacred. It's like you put let's say you put the candle inside the little lanterns, and it's like the flame, and you close the door, right? And so he was saying that, people and he comes from a very old school, I feel, upbringing, but also very knowledgeable and wisdom-like, because it's semi-true. Especially when you're in the entertainment industry, it's like, you kind of want to, it's actually even more important, I feel, to keep your things sacred. But as humans in general, there are things that you want to be private about, which is the most smartest thing to do. And so, long story short, the guy he had on his podcast was saying that, there's the flame, kind of is a magnetic pull. And this might not be verbatim, but basically he was saying, like, it's like a moth to a flame, where, one can say that they're never gonna love again, and they don't want to love again, and they're shut off, and they have all these, boundaries and like really thick walls up and things like that. But he said he was expressing it so beautiful, and this was a comedy podcast, so you're talking about really, and what people don't realize is comedians are super deep. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's where, like, their philosophy, they're basically philosophers that are willing to just have fun, but their philosophy runs really deep with how they think or perceive or, observe life, right? Or have learned from life. And that's why I like hesitate to call this a comedy podcast, but like at the same time it is, because it's coming from like a natural, like, quote unquote class clown, but at the same time a class clown that has like super deep feels, you know what I'm saying? So the thing is, it's like, so my whole thing is, it's like, that's hence why we're getting into the whole, spiritual side of things, which spirituality actually translates, in my world, it translates into joy, happiness, right? Meaningfulness, purposefulness, right? So all of that adds to your joy, but all of that is spiritual, right? It's sacred. It's yeah, we're just gonna leave it at that. So, long story short, I just have a feeling that there's a guy here, or guys, that are scared and maybe running from love, right? Or running to express their feelings, you know what I'm saying? Or kind of maybe even ignoring their feelings. It's all good, because like, we're all human. We all experience emotions in the same, but also kind of differently, because of the fact of, there's so many different things that it can be, in terms of like, just, your culture, your upbringing, society's views and beliefs and all that jazz, and everything and anything that you have not really kind of decluttered out of your life, right? So that could be standing in your way in terms of, and when I say decluttered, I mean either physically, because that also brings on the emotional and invisible decluttering, and or starting out with your invisible decluttering, which then also allows you to transform your outer space. So it doesn't matter which way you work it. It's the yin and the, it's not the, well, maybe yin and the yang, but also it's the infinity, it's the give and the receive, right? So long story short, I don't know if I finished off with that story. Oh, but that guy, maybe I did, maybe I didn't, but let me just say that guy who he had on his podcast was just saying that, like, you know, and I didn't finish it. So he basically said that, like, it doesn't matter whatever it is that you think, but there is going to be that somebody that comes along that literally is able to melt those walls. And that's what he said, melt those walls. And he said it's not a bad thing, it's a beautiful thing, right? And that's basically, and then there was another chime in from another person on the podcast that said, you know, that was actually involved and or invested with the person that was speaking, in terms of like the host of the podcast. And she had said to him, she was like, well, don't you remember what we used to, like, when we first started dating, like, because now they're just friends. If you that might have given away in terms of who it is, but I'm not gonna like talk about people. I'm gonna just talk about their situations, which I think is way more effective than talking about people, you know. And so, long story short, you know, she was like, why would you, and that's how it ended off in terms of where I stopped, but she said, why would you deny yourself of something so fun and so kind of, you know, just, I guess, joyful and, like, playful, and, like, because if you really think about it, though, honestly speaking, this coming from me, when you're adulting, the adulting gets super serious, right? So, like, for me, it's so very interesting, but I'm not even going to go into it. I'm just, because it's about the reading. But my whole thing is, you know, when it comes down to it, you know, I understand the entirety of it. I understand that people, you know, first and foremost, you're like hustling through a lot of shit, and then you kind of don't want to put more work into something that might fail, you know? But the same with business, right? Like, and the same with, like, investing, the same with, like, you know, anything that you might want to try new. It's like, my whole thing is, yeah, that's an option, but also your intuition is not really an option. It's really what leads the way. So if your intuition, if your sense of love, if your sense of good character and, you know, good values and, you know, good morals, just as a human being, leads you in the direction of feeling that a person is good for you, just allow it to happen. There's nothing, you know, of course, like, we get a little, like, you know, we don't like the vulnerable feeling of, like, oh, we don't have shit in, you know, intact, and we, like, because, like, love is gonna make you feel giddy and shit like that, you know what I'm saying? But, like, the whole thing is, when it comes down to it, like, it's not, first of all, I'm going to say it's not your fault that you might take it in a, that you're taking it in the way that you're taking it, right? Because there is a lot of hurt as you get older. There's a lot of hurt. There's a lot of rejection. There's, like, and that's, like, always constant, like, hurdles. And then the rejection, like, hardens us a little bit. But that's just, like, on our end. Like, we're not even talking about things that can come from the outside and how that can hurt us. You know what I'm saying? So there's just like a lot of variables to, like, what can happen in somebody's world to make them kind of shut down. But the whole thing is, you know, I'm just saying that there's really, like, whoever kind of, I guess, pops into your head for you in terms of, you know, maybe showing up for you as well, right? And sometimes, a lot of the times, a lot of us are super, you know, independent, that it's like whoever shows up for us, we're scared to receive it because we don't know how to pay it back. We don't know how to receive it just because sometimes we just simply don't know how to receive it. We've been just hustling by ourselves for a long time. Do I talk about it? Okay, so there was one time, Spirit saying, yeah, so there's one time I remember when I was like, I went on a date with a guy, really nice guy. I'm grateful to have always been on great dates with great guys, honestly. And we like went into a store, and I went to go grab a drink from like, from, what's it called? We were like putzing around, we were walking around, and I went to go grab a drink from the cooler. And, which, by the way, Walgreens hooked it up with the coolers. I didn't even realize their technology with the coolers is crazy. They put they put like, I guess like a computerized image on the doors of their coolers so that you can see what the heck is inside instead of opening up the door. So I just saw that today and I was like, holy damn, that's crazy. You know what I'm saying? That's awesome. Makes you feel so futuristic, you know? And so I thought that was really smart. So, lo and behold, I basically, going back to my story, we went on this date, and he goes, and he's like, and I was trying to reach for like, I was a bit confused, but I was also trying to reach for like this top, like a drink that was like really high, like I was reaching for it, and he was like standing behind me. He was like, T. He was like, I'm with you. He's like, why don't you let me do it? Right? Like he literally had to say that shit. And I said to myself, I was like, oh my God. And I said to him out loud too, I said, I honestly am so sorry. I like didn't even realize it, but I'm like, that's how you can tell that I've been on my own for so long in terms of like, and it's not even out of like, you know, ego, like I'll do it myself. It's like, no, there's no other fucking choice. You're having to do it yourself because there's nobody else around, you know? So the whole thing, so I like literally like super apologized to him, and I was like, I'm really sorry, but thanks for like that like, you know, sense of clarity, because I didn't even realize that, you know, like sometimes I feel like also when you're not alone, but when you're independent for a long time, you don't want to ask people for help because you just kind of like are always maybe used to problem solving shit yourself, you know? And so long story short, he was like, so when he said that, I was like super severely grateful for it, because I was like, I actually needed to hear that, but also I needed like the spatial awareness to like know that somebody was like actually like physically with me instead of it's just being like me in spirit, you know what I'm saying, all the time. So I found it to be super, I was like super, you know, I was just super grateful for that. And if you at all listen to this podcast, if like, you know, in terms of whatever, thank you again for that realization, because a chick really needed it, you know what I'm saying? And so like long story short, hold on one second guys. So this card literally says don't be afraid. Now spirit wants me to read it, but give me 1 second, because there's something bothering me that I have to, it's such Virgo season. I'm like, there's something like really that I'm staring at right now that I have to fix, or that I have to like perfect, whatever the frig it is that you want to call it. Hold on 1 second. Let's see if I can. Alright. Oh, I think I did. Oh, no I didn't. Whatever, man. Okay. So, okay. Ooh. Alright. I can't get to it, so it is what it is. Alright, reading of the book. it says, my transition has changed. This is also, by the way, this is getting back to the whole mediumshipness. Like direct and full on in terms of spirit, like in case you, like, in case somebody in your life has transitioned. Or like I heard recently went back home, and I was like, damn, that's really interesting. It says, my transition has changed everything for both of us, and you may be frightened of the future as a result. Please know that you have nothing to fear, please know that you have nothing to fear, my love. Rest assured that all of heaven is watching over you, including me. Although you can't be in my physical presence any longer, you definitely can rely on my spiritual presence. What were we just talking about, right? I rely on people's, in terms of my own, I was going to say feng shui family. my ancestors, like, you know, my ancestors, my angels, I rely on their presence. I don't really rely on somebody's physical presence, which is so interesting, right? So that's wild to me. I'm attempting this one more time, but I don't think I'll be able to do it. Darn. Okay. It would have been so pleasing if I could have done it. Okay. So it says, let me just read that one more time. It says, although you can't be in my physical presence any longer, you definitely can rely on my spiritual presence, which in many ways is much more powerful than when my soul was limited by my body. And it's true. That is very true. My love for you has increased now that I'm no longer restricted or distracted by physical demands. Now, I sense that this is actually, again, the masculine that's no longer being, maybe this with this Mercury retrograde, like it's kind of helping them to kind of, you know, what's it called? Give themselves a little time to reflect, like a reflection time. So anything with the word re is basically kind of being at the forefront in terms of review. I'm seeing, you know, restricted, resealable, and I was just thinking, I don't know what I was thinking, but something with the R, whatever. It's a re time. You know what I'm saying? I call it the Rihanna time, re. But really, instead of R-I, it's R-E, right? So anything with any word with the re is kind of going to be highlighted and or it's going to be, like you're going to basically take a second look at it. You're going to be given the opportunity to take a second look. And so with the guys here, I feel like it says, my love for you has increased, that I'm no longer restricted or distracted by my physical demands. And I feel like that's what the, that's exactly what is going to happen with the males. And this is interesting because it's a yin card. So I feel as though, just the divine masculines that, are basically just going to be undistracted. They're not going to have that many physical demands, and they're not going to be any longer restricted in terms of this upcoming retrograde, which is going to allow them to not be that afraid, right? Like, or basically what I actually see is, instead of not afraid, they're going to get to the not afraidness, like, you know, as a result, but I am seeing that they're going to have some, they're going to take out some time for themselves, really reflect, that's the reword that I was thinking about earlier, and then kind of be able to forge ahead, if that makes any sense, with, you know, what they think that they need to do about their love life. You know what I'm saying? And with my increased love for you, and that's what it is, like, they can't really even help it because it isn't increased love. It's going to be something where they can't even ignore it anymore. You know what I'm saying? So there's, and they mention that double, so increase, there's a double increase. So it's kind of like you can't even help this. You're just going to have to go with that flow. And that was what I was sensing with the whole don't be afraid. It's like it's love that you are a little bit afraid of, but the thing is it's going to increase by, double, where you really can't you can't ignore it, but you can no longer even be afraid of it, because the whole thing is, it's like you're not even going to be allowed. You're just going to be kind of pushed forward by the universe. You know what I'm saying? And in order to do what you got to do, in order to speak up or, show up or any of that, it says, and with my increased love for you, I'm able to help you even more. And that's really fucking beautiful, because I'm telling you right now, I'm so glad that Spirit had me read that, because honestly, that is so super needed these days, and it's always really going to be needed, but especially for those that have really been living for a very long time, ultra independently. You know what I'm saying? So that's going to be super invited, super, for those of us that are super grateful, that's going to be super welcomed, and warmly welcomed and openly welcomed, so the next card, do I go to the next card? I'm getting like yes and no. But also, I think Spirit wants me to kind of just let you know that in case you're like in a hermit mode, or like you're to yourself, it's really not your fault. First of all, we're in Virgo season. Virgo is the hermit card in the tarot, in terms of the major arcana. And that's when you really kind of, you are okay by being alone. You know what I'm saying? You're kind of like, oh my God, and it's so crazy. I just realized traditionally the hermit, oh my God, that's crazy. Traditionally the hermit card actually holds the lantern with the light in it. So he knows the sacredness of things. And so when you're talking about the lantern with the light, wow, that's nuts. But when you're talking about the lantern with the light in it, it's basically like he's following the warmth and he's letting the light guide him, right? And I think that person had said something like that too. It's like, it's literally about the guidance. There's like, the light is not only this magnetic bright thing to kind of be attracted to, but it's the warmth that also gets you attracted to that person too, in terms of like what brings you in magnetically, right? You're just kind of, and as I'm looking at this card that's going on inside of you that reminds me of my father, it's a person that's kind of like in the dark, in the cold, alone, and just like kind of being like, to himself, and it's a bigger guy, and he's just kind of, walking forward in the snow. So like where he is, it's kind of like cold, and like it's kind of like, I'm gonna say like Russia, right? If you're talking about Russia and how cold it gets there, like I feel like it's like you're essentially, and if you are Russian, for instance, right? Like it's not your fault, again, that like you may not be so super open to love, because of the fact that like also there's climate that's involved. You know what I'm saying? People are cold. They just fucking are maybe a little bit more miserable, a little bit more stern, a little bit more just not fucking having it, a little bit more hard. You know what I'm saying? Because they're cold. Literally, it's a cold fucking climate. So, so that's the whole thing. So my whole thing is, also it's not your fault in terms of how you were raised and what climate you were born in, and all of that jazz, all those variables that I was kind of mentioning before. But what I want to say, so it's not your fault that you're, by yourself and you're feeling like a little more, just kind of subdued and by yourself, and just like a little bit more like double lonely. It's not a bad thing. Because basically what you're doing is you're in your like lonesome time, in your, independent time, you are literally cultivating, I guess, the feels of your own light that's within you, and understanding that on a way more better level, but also you are maybe understanding how it all works and how you're going to grasp it. And maybe it's not you mentally understanding it, but maybe it's you just kind of feeling it. You know what I'm saying? Feeling the warmth and just being with it and getting used to it a little bit. And then approaching, getting comfortable with it is what I'm trying to say. Thank you, Spirit. And then you're able to kind of approach the situation because you're kind of already used to, what a little flame or a little fire feels like. You know what I'm saying? So it's kind of like it won't scare you. It's not going to burn you. So that's something. So yeah, if you're feeling more aloof, if you're feeling more like by yourself, if you feel like you're walking this life alone, a little bit, more further than you thought you were gonna be, like in terms of like where how you thought life was gonna take you, don't worry about it. This is just Virgo season. Virgo season is the season, and it's gonna be all like that up until September 21st. So basically, we're gonna, it just is what it is naturally, so don't put like any more self-blame on yourself if you think it's a bad thing, because it's not. And also don't be afraid to be alone, I feel, at this time, if you feel like you have to hermit up, if you feel like you have to go inwards, it's totally okay. I'm going to just say, as a public service announcement, is that I reach out to people, like maybe 3 times tops, just to see if they're doing okay. And then I kind of let the ball go and let it fall into their court, so that, because we also don't know what a person is going through emotionally, physically, mentally, spiritually. We don't know. So I don't like to push any of those buttons more so than I need to, but I also want to make sure that people know that they are, that they're being thought of, you know what I'm saying? And that they are also being cared for. And to be honest with you, spiritually wise, I feel like lately it has not been easy on us strong people. So just kind of like it's just gonna be, I guess, a little bit while longer for you dudes, but also for us people that are just kind of more in tune with just spirituality in general and or comedy in general. And again, I'm not gonna explain the whole comedy thing, but trust me on that. And then going into the next card, which is so interesting, we have Don't Be Afraid. And also, by the way, if you can be near water and or be in between water and the clouds or the sky above, definitely do that for yourself. I'm also sensing Puerto Rico within this card. And I'm sensing, I'm just sensing what I just said. Okay. So also what I'm sensing in this card is don't, out of the Don't Be Afraid, where the don't is just kind of like, if you sense that there's something that you should not do, don't do it. Just don't. It's okay. It's okay to not get back to somebody. It's okay for you to intuitively like feel other things right now and go through what you need to go through, and kind of like purge and declutter your emotional system before you feel like you need to reach out or do something along those lines. Like don't do it. Just don't, because I feel like sometimes even with communication coming up, with the whole Mercury in retrograde, communication might be fucked. So a little bit, in the shadow period. So it's kind of like just, ride the wave out. And there is an ocean here. So it's kind of like ride that wave out. Don't do what you don't feel like doing. And that's literally such a key, because you can literally like become a flamethrower if you do, or if things are taken misconstruedly or that type of thing. So just take time for yourself. Also, I'm sensing that like the answer is no. Out of this don't. So if you're like, and it's funny, I'm actually seeing the no in the next card, which is, do I mention it? Okay, okay, I'm going to mention it now, which is, now I have no pain. So it's kind of like, I see the no as I'm saying it's about the no. So, and no, I'm actually sensing right now, first and foremost, I got the N-O. But then I got also no as in knowledge. So it's about the no. And also, I'm going to combine the two, which is about the knowledge and being able to say no. So, which would be more so your intuition, more so your feelings, more so your, out of your self-love of, you know, having your boundaries up with a certain person. I'm also sensing like having your boundaries up with your mom, okay? And this could be for anybody, but there's moms that I feel like are being told no. And this is not to be afraid, thank you, Spirit, this is absolutely not to be afraid of saying no to your mom if for any reason that comes up that you feel like a no should be said, you know? Don't go against that is what I'm trying to say, because we see, and when I say that it's like I'm like the devil on your shoulder type of thing, but at the same time, I do it for positive purposes because of the fact that, you know, you don't realize it, but I'm also, put it this way, I'm going to be more so on your intuition side, more so than the love for your mother side, because of the fact that intuition is always going to be with you and is always to be trusted. And, you know, moms are still people. They're going to, you know, do shit that, like, is not cute, you know, a lot of the time. And so the work that needs to be had throughout your entire life is to always side with your intuition, side with your intuition, side with your intuition. And your, you know, and your quote-unquote belief system, in terms of positivity and, you know, what I was just told the other day, which is like the common human, you know, morals or good values, or the, I guess, human morality, right? So there's definitely something to be had there. So the no needs to kind of be a little bit more common, and don't be afraid to say it, because that actually in reality needs to be more so of a practice, so that people kind of know that there are boundaries put up where boundaries need to be placed. Okay, so am I reading the yellow? Okay, I feel like I might end up reading the yellow, but not right now. So I'm gonna say, it's so funny, like there's like shit that I'm finding that I'm like, I'm playing with, and I'm like, I need to like maybe do something about that. Anyhow, so in the next card, like I said, is the Yang card in this reading, and it's pretty awesome because, so like basically interiorly with the Yin card, you're feeling like, you know, maybe lonely and afraid, or you're feeling like, you know, you're like, maybe you've been a bit too alone for a very long time. And, you know, it's just it's the rainbow of life that you're like feeling these emotions. It's okay. It's like the weather, you know? And so why I'm saying it's like the weather, because the next, on Tuesday up until 3 p.m., the card that was chosen was Now I Have No Pain. And it's a yellow, and it's like yellowish. It's like basically the sun card. It's like you're gonna be feeling a lot more better. I'm also seeing gold glitter. So it's kind of like you're which is actually my sign for spirit, so it's very interesting. Also, Tuesday is a spirit, like you can sense spirit around you on Tuesdays, super, what was I going to say, more potently. And so with this card, it says, now I have no pain. I feel like this is, you're going to come out of it. This is you coming out of it. Something really good is happening. You know, I also feel like new beginnings could be happening on Tuesday. Tuesday is bringing us more so, it's still August on Tuesday. So interesting. I think Tuesday is when we kind of begin the, I'm going to quote unquote say, either the descent or ascent, or both, right? To being able to kind of really communicate with spirit. So if and here's what I'm sensing too, is that there's going to be brothers out there that have already transitioned into just spirit, which is they've died, they've passed on, that are really, they're going to be the ones that are going to be pushing you forward, that are going to be giving you the courage. But also what I sense here is that they're kind of egging you on in terms of don't be afraid, but also I'm sensing family, which is interesting, through the through like blue whales. You might see that as a sign or something along those lines. But blue whale to me signifies family. So it's kind of like you're gonna, the don't be afraid card is what you're kind of sensing in terms of strength from a brother that's going to kind of push you forward and really kind of not even push you in a harsh way, but more so like, you know, when whales like float in the water, it's like they're large and in charge, but they just float, but yet they're still moving. You know what I'm saying? So I feel like it's that type of push. It's not like, it's just kind of like a gentle nudge towards the future, towards the right direction, towards the light, towards the, oh my God, we were just talking about the light, and I was saying how this is like, the sunlight is in this card where you now have no pain. So you're going to come out of it by Tuesday morning, and you're going to sense, you know, kind of like refreshness out of this whole thing. So it's not, again, I want to reiterate, it's not your fault. It's not your fault. So whatever happened is not your fault. And that is such a beautiful line that I remember from, what is it? What's that movie? I can't think. Sometimes I can't think of like what things are as I'm channeling. So I forgot what it's something with the mathematical genius. I forgot what's his name. Good Will Hunting. Thank you. I would have never remembered that. That was all spirit. Thank you. So Good Will Hunting. And with the Good Will Hunting, I feel like talking about the goodwill, I was talking about it before, like I just feel like somebody is being nudged towards a good person, towards helping a good person, towards assisting a good person. They're being prepared, but also in the same time simultaneously kind of like nudged and pushed in the right direction. So what I'm trying to say here is like the love of a brother who either, and I'm going to put it this way, who has either passed on, but also if you live like me, which is so interesting, and I never would have thought about this in my entire life, right? Entire life. I never would have thought that this would ever be the case. But realistically speaking, we can lose people in terms of them having died to you while they are on this earth plane with you. So it's kind of like if you have so when I say brothers, this could be, this could be a brother that really physically is no longer here on this planet with you, and or this could be a brother that you haven't really heard from any longer because of the fact that you guys just didn't have a good relationship, and so the whole thing is it's kind of like they're quote unquote dead to you, like, you know what I'm saying, like in real life. So this really could be that could be the case where it's like, and that to me is like I feel like, and I'm going to put it this way, I don't care what anybody says, and I'm going to put it exactly that way, because my whole thing is, I think it's so much harsher to deal with the grief of not having a sibling around while they are on this earth plane with you, more so if they have passed. Because when they pass, it's a clean cut, like, no fuckery with your mind. Like, yeah, okay, it fucks with you because, like, you're just like, okay, like, what the fuck, this just, like, blew my mind, right? Like, it hurts, like, it's a pain, right? But the whole thing is, like what we just said in the description, it's like they're helping you from beyond. It's like the love is still there. And I think it does hurt very much so, you know, maybe it's kind of more so the same, but it's weird because I'm like, I put a little bit more thought into it. But my whole thing is, it's like, it's weird because you can be a lover in your own sense, loving somebody else so deeply, like, or having loved somebody else so deeply on this earth plane, that, you know, on this earth plane of who is with you on this earth plane, but yet it's like a double mind fuck and a double pain going back and forth with like, what is the right and highest and best and most joyous thing for you to do for yourself, but also for the harmony of the relationship in terms of letting them go. And to me, I think it's the wildest shit to, like, actually be grieving a person that is here with you on this earth plane, and also, like, having to grieve that they are actually no longer with you, like, in your own life. Like, you've either bypassed them because you're, like, spiritually grown out of them, and or, you know, spiritually, like, you know, like you're, and or you're, like, kind of maybe more so, like, in the pain of being a little bit bipolar about it, because, like, you want that, you know, give and receive to be there, but then also it might just be toxic because there's, like, no respect there, you know what I'm saying? So it's kind of like, you don't know whether you should fucking keep your distance or not. So it's like, it's a mess. It's a fucking mess. That's why I'm like, you know, when people literally pass, I want to just relay to people that it's a blessing, because first of all, they're not in, it's a blessing for your sanity is what I'm hearing, because it's clean cut. It ended on love, right? Hopefully. And, you know, on pure love. And the whole thing is, of course you want them back because, you know, it could be pure love. But at the same time, you know, it's a good thing that it ended on a good note, and that you're, like, still in the sanity of just having to deal with just one, I'm not going to say simple, but one type of pain, rather than, like, 5 different deep wounded pains that you don't know what the fuck is going on in terms of, like, what you're having to sift through, what is the right thing to do about a certain situation. You know, are you still in the picture? Are you not in the picture? Are they still in the picture? Are you not? It's like, it's so fucking, it's crummy, actually. What the word that's coming out is, like, it's super crummy. And so it's a mind fuckery, and it's not cute. So my whole thing is, just be grateful that if you have somebody that has passed in your world, that you didn't hate, and that you didn't, I mean, like, not that I hate anybody, but I'm just saying, like, that you didn't have any kind of bad, you know, kind of maliciousness or anything along those lines, like, against each other. Like, not that, again, it doesn't have to be so, like, intense. I make it way more intense than it is, but, like, and maybe it is, maybe I'm just, like, you know, lightening up the mood. I have no idea. You know, everybody has their own story. But my whole thing is, and everybody feels different levels of the depths, just like there's different levels of, you know, in the ocean, like, you have 1 foot deep, you have 2 foot deep, you have 3 foot deep. Like, there are people that feel at different levels, and thank you, Spirit, because that needed to come out. That is such a fucking super huge thing that I had to say right there, and I never knew that that had to come out, but people have to actually start thinking that way, because the whole thing is sometimes when you're also not at the level, or the same depth level as somebody, you know, in terms of caring for them, and or you can't feel the care for them because you maybe are too far removed or whatever the fuck have you, it can also cause a lot of pain because you guys are so far removed. It's kind of like, it's like you need, talk about family of whales before, it's like kind of like you need echolocation at that point to kind of like hear each other out because it's so far removed. But what's so beautiful is that echolocation is a sense of vibrational energy. So the whole thing is, you just want to, if you are feeling very far removed from also the family, which again is not your fault, you know, and you shouldn't be afraid if you are kind of left alone or left in, you know, Five of Pentacles. I think that's what it's called, when you're like, when you feel like you're the one that's like the black sheep in the family, the tie-dye sheep in the family, ugly duckling, whatever the fuck you want to call it, you know, because, you know, you chose a different path, they chose theirs, and now you're kind of like not on the same level. It's kind of like on a lighter note, it's kind of like just simply accepting, like, if somebody is choosing to be single, and a person, you know, let's say two friends or two people in general, you know, one chooses a lifestyle to be free, right, and the other chooses a lifestyle to have children, that's typically speaking, like, they are two different mindsets at that point, right? So it's not that it's a bad thing that, like, oh, you can't, like, it's not like you can't come together on any certain, you know, like, oh, you know, like there's no topic you can fucking relate on now. No, that's not true. But for the most part, it's like there has been a mind shift, so like, and a lifestyle shift. So like the whole thing is like, it's just different, right? Like the dynamic of the relationship is just different. So the whole thing is, it's like, when it comes down to it, it doesn't even have to come down to like haterade anything. It just comes down to, there has been a separation, right? And a separation can sometimes feel like a loss, like a death, like a grief, you know? And so long story short, you know, that is just something to, let yourselves know about. And so what I'm saying is, that type of grief is a little bit more of a mind fuck and an emotional fuck at the same time, than if somebody were to just clean-cutly pass over. You know what I'm saying? So please keep that in mind. And it's not to diminish or, you know, minimize your pain of, you know, how much it hurts to lose a living loved one that you loved, you know what I'm saying? So fully, but it's basically just to let you know that it's actually a good thing that they just left in a clean cut type of way, because there could have been a lot more misery to the relationship at hand, right? So the dynamic basically that was left is a blessing. That was left behind is a blessing when you leave on a good note and on a clean slated note, rather than on a just like illusional, delusional, bipolar, everything mixed together. Like, you don't know what the heck is really going on. And also the feeling of unsafety, right? Like, it's just kind of like, you don't know, it's kind of like eggshells. Like, you don't know what the heck, like, you'd walk into if, like, you were to see that person again. You know what I'm saying? Like, so it's very interesting. I don't know what just happened. Oh. So it's very interesting, like, the fear-based thing is interesting, but also just know that you have the power to transmute all of your fears into, the divine love of what needs to be, whether it's tough love, whether it's gentle love, and or whether it's just real, love that is on the in-between level, or anywhere on that, on both sides of the spectrum, right? So but don't worry, is what I'm also trying to say. The next day's card, now I have no pain, is basically letting you know that things are happening for a really good, things are happening in a really good way. They're high vibrational. They're very filled with light. I'm also sensing the temperature right now has dropped, and there was like kind of like this hold, like grip hold that the sun kind of had on this entire day, and now that it's like kind of being more sunsetty, it's kind of released the heat. So I feel like there has been a quote unquote like release of a hellfire type of thing, where it's like, you know, and whether it's somebody that maybe, I always thought about that, like how it's very interesting, the whole, you know, cremation thing, like we're like cremation, you know, takes fire to fire up a body, right? And a past body. And so I feel like with the whole releasing of the heat here right now, I feel like as if maybe a cremation has already been done. Maybe there's just like they've also been released in a way. Something has been freed up, put it that way. And I feel like just as spirit frees up in the spiritual world, it's like as above, so below. It's us too being freed in a way as well. So I feel like there, maybe even what I'm talking about is a person that might have had a grip hold on your energy, a hellfire grip hold on your energy for a very long time. And that grip hold energy is kind of really, it's being released by Tuesday. By you know, on Tuesday morning up until 3 p.m. So I think you might feel the way more freed upness in that whole sensation, rather than what it has been all up until now, you know. And God bless, because I wish that I literally, like, I love spirit so much, and honestly I can cry because I feel like the more and more I not think about death, but the more I've had death put into perspective in my world, that's how my heart wants to say it, and I felt that, and thank you for that. Thank you for that, heart. Is the more that I've had that be put into perspective for me, I am like not envious or jealous of a spirit, but that's how much more I actually like, and I'm gonna put it this way in terms of making it like more heaven on earth for this home. So it kind of like fires me up to do that. But the reason being is because I think it's the reason why I have that passion is because it's like deep down inside, I really want to go home. You know what I'm saying? And when I say I want to go home, it's like I do want to cross over, because there is a yearning, like freeingness to it that I think you know, and it's not that I'm gonna like pull the trigger at any given moment, even though when I find myself in certain situations, I'm like, dude, like, you know, like you can take me at any time. We say that shit. Take me at any time, because I'm like, I don't know how the fuck how the fuck you expect me to go through this, you know what I'm saying? So the whole thing is, it's like, you know, so I definitely will probably have a long life, since I don't want to fucking even be here. And the whole thing is, and I appreciate that, but at the same time, I'm gonna be that 80-year-old that's gonna be like, I can't believe I get like another birthday, which that and what I'm saying 80-year-old, because there was a woman that was turning 80 a long time ago. I fucking love this. And she was like, they were singing happy birthday to her. I know I mentioned this in another podcast, but this goes down in the books. And they were singing happy birthday to her, and she goes, oh shit, I hope it's my last one, right? And I was laughing so hard, because I was like, yo, that is such truth. Like, you don't understand. Like, it's very heavy for us comedians and strong people and, you know, independent people and people who want to create, who are harmonious, right? People who are not resistant to like fucking just being the proper person that everybody really should want to fucking be so they can sleep well at night. But also, it's just a lot of, you know, misunderstandings and then fucking drama out of nowhere and then this and that. It's like, it's like putting out so many fires. It's like you might as well just fucking, you know what I'm saying? Like, fire us all up and fucking dismiss us. You know what I'm saying? Since we can't all get along. Like, what the fuck is the point, you know? And so, so that's like I always go from like small picture to big picture to small picture, you know, in terms of, you know, kind of thinking about life in that way, you know? And you know, and humanitarian wise, it's like, holy shit, like, I'm just grateful for the good times, really extra, because that's just, you know, the deep depths of the emotions can be, I'm gonna just say it's where it's super calm, right? So I don't mind it, but then also when you get up to the surface to take a fucking breath and see like maybe the crazy waves that's going on, you're like, dude, put me back down. You know what I'm saying? Like, literally. So, and when I'm saying that, I'm also sensing like, you know, when people are going through something in terms of purging, they could also be feeling a sense of depression, right? When you're saying put me back down, which means like, you know, I kind of think of like a dog, like when it's being like, and maybe this is somebody's dog too, who's a male, that like is being put down, right? And hopefully you're not being put down in your actual life, like in terms of being like just being talked down upon. But, you know, my whole thing is, if that's the case, then you're going to say no and you're going to fight back a little bit, knowing your worth, you know, as a human being. And hopefully, you know, and I only say that to the people that really are truly trying to be, not even trying to be, are living well in their morality, in their human common sense morality, but also are sleeping well at night and choosing that be their one and their biggest and most, I'm going to say, one thing that you can actually like recall to yourself that actually matters, you know, on a very big and large scale, you know? So the whole thing is, when it comes down to that, I'm so sensing, like, even though the heat, like, kind of, like, let go, it's like, I'm so sensing the heat. Spirit is here. So, but also, I smell cooking, so I think cooking is going on, too. So, yeah, and again, the light is the heat as well. So there, I definitely think it's just a combination of a whole lot of things that are coming into play, but also what I'm also like blending the two is, don't be afraid to have no pain, right? Don't be afraid to be in your fucking joy. Like, I literally today, I found myself, and I know this is a reading for like Monday to Tuesday, but sometimes there's prep, you know, happening the day before, and you feel into energies the day before, and I am able to do that in terms of it's just being sent my way. And so today I felt like as if like which is crazy because I literally took a leap of faith today. I was like called to the ocean yesterday. I did my leap of faith today. I was literally just going to just putz around, do nothing today on my day off. But I said to myself that sensation of going to the water was so strong that I absolutely went. By the way, today is a career day, so career has a lot to do with the color blue and black, which could be like murky waters, right? Like you might have been afraid to do something, you know, even career-wise is what I'm trying to say. And so the whole thing is, it's like, why I went into that was I wanted to just stay home. There was a point to that. So I wanted to stay home. I didn't really want to budge, but there was such a calling to the ocean that I was like, I'm not going to ignore it. My intuition says not to ignore it. So I kind of just went with it, and I went to the ocean today, right? And so I had that beautiful cleansing. Also, to those who have joined, thank you so much. I really appreciate it. And this video, since I'm kind of coming towards the end of it, is going to be available on YouTube. So be sure to go follow me there with this exact name, The Illuminated Muse. And it's going to be there in like 10 minutes after I get off. But basically, like, tonight, it's going to be on there tonight. So be sure to kind of go back into it if you feel like re-listening to this podcast a little bit. But so yeah, so basically the whole thing is, it's like, don't be woo, I am feeling the heat, guys, so I apologize, but it's basically like, don't be afraid to do what your intuition and or your emotions are calling you to do. And don't say no to your intuition is what I'm trying to also say, because you're saying no to your intuition and saying yes to somebody else is bullshit. And it has also so much to do with you ignoring your intuition and ignoring and it's basically like toxic people pleasing. And that's what I meant to say, coming back around, it has so much to do with your authenticity. Like, if you're able to say no to somebody, that means you're choosing your authenticity, and that means that you're choosing your own worth and value, no matter if that other person gets kind of, what is it called, like a little taken back by it, or a little like, if they sense a little, what is it called, resentment towards you, and or, they basically like, the conditional love is kind of taken back a little bit further than you had thought. Like, it's not about them anymore. It's about you. And in this 2022 year, it's very interesting because it is going to bring up your devilish-like ways, but at the same time, it's for your own self-love. And it is okay for you to be of your own self-love and to figure that out this year, which is going to absolutely take a whole lot of no's for you to get there. And I'm talking about, it could be, first and foremost, it should be a no from you. You know what I'm saying? It's a no for me, dog. You know what I'm saying? But so it should take a whole bunch of no's from you to say that to other people, to get you more so in your strength of your authenticity, but and also the strength of your intuition at the same time, which to me, that is AI, authenticity and intuition, right? So you're talking about just intelligence beyond belief, right? And thank you, God, that I have the combination of both of them within my power, within my system, and within the forefront of who I am. And I've worked on that for a very long time. It took me years. So basically, your quote unquote, like, I don't like to put it that way, but quote unquote, you're doing something right if you're not being liked, right? And the whole thing is that could be taken in a negative way, and that could also have that also could be taken in a different negative way, but essentially, if you think about it in a good way, it's gonna be good, if that makes any sense. So it's kind of like, you're not here to people please this year. You're here to do what your self-love is calling you to do. And self-love is literally your intuition along with your authenticity, which is basically your inner power of intelligence. You know what I'm saying? And we all humans need to accept that within ourselves, and also outside of ourselves, which is within other people. And this is why rejection to me is not a big deal, because it's like if somebody says no to you, that means that they were being more loyal to themselves, which actually is more helpful to you then, because you get to essentially say, you know what, I'm gonna go in a new direction too then, right? So it expands you and it takes you further in a different way than maybe you have, you know, in your little pea brain of a mind, you know, human mind, like would have done it. Like it could actually like bring you to a new perfect instead of the one of which you could only think of yourself. Do you get what I'm saying? So essentially it's kind of a little bit of more of a lethal teamwork, but it is what it is. You accept it and you move on, and hence it bringing you to a new aspect and a new form of like loving on yourself and being proud of yourself that you got through something. You know what I'm saying? And you did it yourself, and you expanded your horizons yourself, and you did something about your life. You know, it's really a beautiful thing. So, and also when I was talking about the happiness before, is like, yeah, there might be joy that's coming through due to you having taken a different route in your life that, yeah, okay, maybe you didn't want to take. That was me talking about like how I didn't want to go to the water, but I knew I was being called to the water, so I did it. I did it, and I was like, okay, fine, let's just go and see what happens. And long story short, all along the way, I was given different, ideas, musings, but also once I returned back to my home base, I literally I felt so much lighter. Like I felt like I literally didn't have any pain, and I felt as though I can be my own sincere self, and I celebrated it. Like, Spirit had me like singing and dancing and like, just being like in my own self-love and self-gratitude, and also, just gratitude and appreciation for all the things that just made my morning so, glistening with gold. You know what I'm saying? So that's what I feel like you guys are going through right now, is like you're a little afraid, but you're going to push past it with your intuition and your authenticity, even if you have to say no to people, for you to then have no pain for your tomorrow. And also, essentially, that is your own self-protection too. When you say no to somebody, that means that you're protecting yourself and your happiness and your energy, so that you can have it for something else that actually is needed, so that you can literally apply it to wherever else the Spirit wants to take you, right? Sometimes we have to do that in order to get a little further, and also to kind of conserve our energy. So again, there's nothing as a rejection, but there is a sense of unsafety and the uncertainty. But if you just take it day by day and step by step, and like literally just listen to your intuition, it's going to expand you little by little, right? It's kind of like, I was talking about the blue whale. It's kind of like, it's like if, let's say, you picture this, you swimming in the vast ocean, you don't know where the fuck you're going, and all of a sudden a blue whale kind of like gently, right? You're like swimming, you're snorkeling, doing whatever. A blue whale comes up from behind and just kind of nudges you slowly to your destination. That's how I feel as this is going. It's just like this really slow moving, gentle push to get to where you need to be. And whether this is you being gentle with yourself or Spirit really being gentle, you could probably feel the gentle energy coming through the next couple of days too. Whether upon waking up, you might feel like an angel, you know what I'm saying? Like an angel watched over you. And more so definitely it could be on Tuesday. But, as we're kind of moving forward gently and transitioning gently from August to September, we're going to feel, and this is basically like, I'm gonna say the beginning of the week into Thursday, and then 3 or 4 days after. So we're feeling the transitions now, which means that we're feeling spirit kind of come to our aid, come to our assistance, being louder than normal, because the veil of transition is thin. So hence probably why I was even being told to work with this card deck, because it is, first of all, we're new moon energies, I believe. I still have to look that up though. So new moon in Virgo, but also we're going towards the transitional energies of into September. So the whole thing is, it's looking good. You guys just have, and I'm gonna say we, but I'm also gonna say you, is like, we all have to just get through these energies a little, just flow through them gently, and don't really push. And I know that you won't, because you're gonna have a sense of, wise wisdom with you. So just follow that wise wisdom. You know what I'm saying? Just follow what you're getting to do, what you're receiving to do, because it's a blessing. Don't ignore it, because again, it's a blessing. And I'm getting the word now, so it's kind of like in your nows, you have to kind of make sure that you are kind of pushing forward in a positive way, where you just get to kind of keep going, a little further. And it's okay if you're like, floating. It's okay if you don't know where you're going, but it's just like, just walk it out. You know what I'm saying? Walk it out, or, and maybe I'm also sensing like a meditative walk would be really good for people in Virgo season. Just to kind of be alone, walk it out by yourself, and just really kind of give reflection to life in terms of, where you are now, and where, life really kind of wants to take you. When I say life, I mean life energy wants to take you. And sometimes you can't know where you're going unless you really get quiet, right? Like, so it's kind of like you're even receiving answers and or messages from spirit in terms of what's the next highest and best and most accurate right move for you to make as a person, towards what it is that you need most to make happen in your life. So don't be afraid to make the change, guys. It's about change, it's not about chains. It could be about chains, but it's about releasing the chains. That was my Capricorn devil-like energy talking. It's about breaking the chains, but also I meant to say it's about change, chance, and I'm not going to say challenges, but if I have to say challenges, it's overcoming the challenges, or undercoming them, or busting right through them. Those are your angles, I feel. But also, it could absolutely be where you can, and this is where I feel spirit comes in, is like they get a really good angle on life where they go diagonal. So it's kind of like a what is it called? Like I was gonna say rooster, and that's probably good luck. But it's like a rocket, So it's kind of like a rocket going like diagonal and or straight up and down into the ethers. But when it comes to us, we have to either go underneath, over, and or bust through, right? And then at the end of our life, we'll rocket ship it towards the ethers. You know what I'm saying? At the end of the day, a rocket ship could also be a super big sign for you in the next upcoming days. So just make sure to feel out for that. Hey, Soul Excelsior, thanks so much for joining. That's if you're still on, because I can never tell. So what was I gonna say? So yeah, so I'm getting a bit tired now, which I feel like is I've exhausted my flow. But again, it's also maybe even being able to release the no pain. So or like not release the no pain, but it's receiving how you're like receiving the aspect of being in no pain, right? So sometimes the releasing, again, another RE word that can happen in this shadow Mercury retrograde period, it can get you a little tired. So again, don't be afraid to go slow. This is kind of like go slow, even if you're in the dark, go slow. You know, take your time. There's really nowhere to speed off to unless, you know, unless spirit and or your intuition urges you to really kind of like pick up the pace, right? Pick up the speed, because there might be something that you need to kind of either whatever run from or run towards, you know what I'm saying? So spirit and intuition knows it super well. So, all right, last but not least, I'm going to say it again, don't be afraid. And don't be afraid in order to have no pain, right? That's basically what it is. You have to choose not fear. You have to choose love, which is also your authenticity and intuition, but also the ability to physically be able to say no to other people, for you to choose more of your self-love. And then that all is freeing for your spirit, essentially, and soon to be so, if not in your right now as you do it, so that you, as a result, have no pain. And that's what we need, guys. We need people that are willing to heal themselves. You know, we need real people in this world to like be real with themselves, to be honest with themselves, to say, I'm fucking in pain. Like I'm hurting right now. And we have to have the real people be so real with themselves to be like that, to just like come out with it, you know, on their own. It doesn't have to be on social media or anything. But you have to do it in order for you to actually reach the apex of your healing, you know, in terms of feeling it deeply, or, you know, overcoming it, or like in terms of if it's like a little bit egotistically, and or busting through it to, like, in terms of, and I'm going to say it not egotistically, but like overpowering it, right? And it could be egotistically, but it could not at the same time. And or just powering right through it and be like, you know what, no, we're not doing this, and then power right on through. So, you know, it's like being able to put your foot down on something, to say like, what, you know, this isn't right, I don't feel right about this, I don't like it, you know, this is not for me, that type of thing. And just be willing. There's another C word, change, chance. The word capacity is coming through, but also it change, chance, and change, chance. I forgot the other C word. Hold on. I think my phone. Yeah, my phone battery. It needs to be juiced up. Damn, I could have found it. I could have found it so easy. But there's another C word to that. Go look it up on, you know, on any meme, because there's like different illustrations about it. The 3 C's. I really can't think of it. Spirit, would you like to help me out? Because I would like to end on that note. Yeah, they're telling me I don't need to know, and I don't feel like I need to know either. So go look it up. There's the 3 C's, because that's what life is basically all about. So just be willing to, you know, choose. You know, maybe it is choice. And thank you, Spirit. If it's choice, I'd be so grateful, but I can't remember if that's the truth. If that's the truth of the matter, but it's choice, chance, and change, I think. So yeah, so just make sure that you know that for your own inner authenticity and your own inner likability and your own, you know, superpower and superhuman strength, like, you have the choice to really kind of, like I said, power on through, undercut it and or overcome it, right? That type of thing. And you have to feel it to actually be able to know how to get through that. So don't be afraid to feel it. All right, guys, I think that's the last of it. I'm out of gasolina, and Tina is out of gasolina. So thank you guys for tuning in. Thank you guys for choosing to listen to me. I appreciate you spending your time with me. And also, if you didn't tune in live, if you didn't get a chance, I would really appreciate you going to YouTube, listening to this there, and also, you know, being able to like, share, and subscribe there. And yeah, I appreciate you guys. Thank you so much. I'll talk to you soon. Bye.